So Dubai has been a hub for business for a very long time, and today the business industries and creative economy completely go hand in hand. People are engaging with content on their phones, on their laptops, on their TVs all the time, and businesses are using these platforms to creatively put themselves out there. So the creative industry is no more just about a performance here or an art gallery there. It's intertwined within all aspects of our economy. And as Dubai is such a big hub for trade and exchange of ideas and business, there's no doubt that the creative industry in Dubai, just going hand in hand with that itself, will expand and explode by 2025.
So I feel that the creative industries have become a very important part of the economy in general, especially with the growing digitization. What has happened is young people and artists have gotten a platform to express their art form, and it has been seen not just as entertainment, but it has given them an opportunity to earn money for this particular talent that they own, that they have, which in turn has created a plethora of jobs out of this entire industry, such as influencers. People are creating content, they feel free to create content in any form, and it is accepted, and not just accepted but is monetized.
As career goals go through a paradigm shift, more and more people are turning their ideas and imaginations into livelihoods. The creative economy is one of the world's most rapidly growing sectors, contributing 3% of the global GDP. Creativity is also a renewable, sustainable, limitless resource that we can find anywhere around the world. As we face climate crisis and the pandemic, its potential to drive a human-centric, inclusive development has never been more relevant. In that sense, creativity is the industry of tomorrow. The year 2021 was declared the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development at the 74th United Nations General Assembly. Our speakers shed light on the future of this sunshine sector. Roshan Abbas is an entrepreneur, author, film and theatre director, TV and radio host, podcaster, producer, but most of all, a storyteller. A stalwart in the Indian media industry, he has always been ahead of the curve, pioneering innovation across platforms and mediums. Roshan founded and led Encompass, now VMLY&R Commerce Encompass, as managing director into becoming India's largest, most awarded experiential marketing agency. Mette Den Christensen is the director of Dubai Design Week. The Dubai Design Week is one of the UAE's go-to events for eye-catching, inventive and at times opulent creations. It covers both architecture and design. Hans Franken is the Abu Dhabi Film Television Commissioner. Hans joined Abu Dhabi Film Commission in June 2020, following a 25-year global career in film distribution, co-production and financing. As Abu Dhabi Film Commissioner, he is responsible for developing a world-class production center and film-friendly community in Abu Dhabi capable of supporting productions from around the world. Creative economy, the sunshine sector. Roshan Abbas, Mette Den Christensen and Hans Franken in conversation with Sanjoy K. Roy.
Welcome to all of you. Delighted to have you on this panel. Welcome to our viewers out there. The creative economy the world over is really the new sunshine sector. If you look at the United Kingdom's 11.8% of their GDP is the creative economy. And it basically accounts for more contribution than the financial and the oil and gas sector put together. In India, I was asking Ambassador Navdeep Suri to calculate that it's roughly 330,000 crores is what the contribution is, and there are over 400 million people involved in the sector or the ecosystem. One of the things that we need to talk about today, given the new upgrading of the relationship between India and UAE, is how we can look at leveraging both the strengths and the opportunities between the UAE and in India. So, Mete, I'm going to start with you first. Love to know how you see the creative economy in a place like Dubai.
And I think there's been, even before we started at Dubai Design Week, a lot of educational sort of groundwork to do in terms of what is design if not fashion. Can it be a serious career? And how do we put that across to the different generations so that not only for trade purposes, but also looking at the educational landscape to take job opportunities seriously, which leads to obviously more schools, more museums, more internships, and hence more commercial activity across the board. So what we always strive to do is look at the 360 ecosystem within the creative field. So whether that's cultural exchange, whether it's providing a platform for showcasing talent, for commercial opportunity, we try to look at all of that spectrum.
And do you feel there's an opportunity to do a collaboration like this? Is there a way that there can be an exchange between the two communities, looking at opportunities on both sides of the Arabian Sea?
For sure. I mean, we've been doing this for a few years now, and it's something that's really growing. And obviously now with Expo 2020 also on, we work with trade organizations, initiatives, embassies from around the world, all based here, that are looking to either showcase mandates of where they come from, maybe to change perspectives of what it is that they stand for. We do it on a very tailored, case-by-case sort of partnership.
Roshan, you're the president of IMA, and we know that the event and entertainment industry in India is worth billions of dollars and creates millions of jobs as well. What opportunities do you see that you can build on between the UAE and India?
I now believe that creators can just be global gypsies. We really don't need to be at any one place. The one thing that we learned in the last 2 years was give us an internet connection and give us a decent enough device, and you're with people everywhere. I find that what's really happened is that the pandemic was the best chief transformation officer anybody could get. It suddenly just entered our lives and said, you've got to do things differently. And everybody had to do them really differently. And I mean, and to creators, it brought a sense of discipline. Tools of creation started coming up, and now the number of tools that are available. I mean, if you go on and say community building tools from Mighty Network to Circle, payment tools that have been created, distribution tools. I really feel that in the last 2 years, there's been such a flip in what's happened that most creators who understand digital are thriving. This connection between India and UAE, I noticed that this focus that His Highness here has actually done, which is this new policy about the Dubai becoming the hub of the creator economy. There are about 8,300 creative enterprises currently here, and they say that by 2025 that'll be about 15,000. Creativity was always a side hustle in Dubai for a period of time. Performers and artists, they were not coming here to just possibly do their trade. They would come in and leave. But now there's such a recognition of the creator economy here in terms of enterprises, startups, collectives, communities. And if you bring all of these together, there's going to be something unique. Here, we are blessed with a lot of opportunities. In India, a lot of people were creating without the opportunities. I mean, the number of YouTube channels that has gone from 2014 to 2020 with over 1 million subscriptions. It was 14 in 2014 in India. It is 1,200 channels now. People are being able to monetize. There are about 1 billion creators who are earning over, I think, $20,000 a year just from their digital presence. This is going to be another cultural renaissance if we do it right.
But in this opening up of the market, have you seen a new inspiration or a new vision for a tomorrow where you can pool resources, money resources, people and talent, and of course, most importantly, technology to be able to create the new paradigms in this area?
I think I'm going to have to focus it on, the bilateral relationship between UAE and Bollywood or India, right? I mean, because if we just talk about the CCI sector on a global basis, CCI being culture and creative industries, that's a what is it, $2.25 trillion industry a year, which represents about 10% of global GDP. This was not passed upon the UAE when they came up with their, particularly Abu Dhabi, when they came up with their Vision 2030 economic priority plan, and they put CCI as a priority sector, right? Which is very different than Dubai. UAE is very particular from all other Middle Eastern countries in the fact that it's very decentralized. It's very much like North America or Canada, where the provinces and the states have very, those jurisdictions have a lot of power and control. Unlike Europe, where the concentration of power is federal, it's nationwide. And so as such, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, they have very different economic policies, especially when it comes to sectorial priorities, right? And Abu Dhabi, the CCI, Cultural Creative Industries, is a priority sector. And as such, just last year, they announced a $30 billion, I wish it was dollars, dirham investment in CCI, which is about $6 billion. It's still a lot of money for an emirate that's under 2 million people. Of the 30 billion that was earmarked, we've already spent, we're probably at 9 billion already spent. I'm thankful that a big part of that 9 billion is my sector, film and television production, both soft and hard infrastructure. And I'll give you an example of the hard infrastructure investment is we're building a studio city. Studio City is basically a collection of purpose-built sound stages, production offices, warehouses, everything you need on an infrastructure point of view to make a movie. Oh, by the way, and we're building that in Kizad. Kizad is a backlot. A backlot is where you have existing buildings and stuff. And so this is where the link with Bollywood comes in. Bollywood, for some reason, well, I know what the reasons are. They love producing in Abu Dhabi. We just finished a big movie 2 months ago with Hrithik Roshan, which is a remake of the Tamil movie of 2018 by the same name, Vikram Vedha. And this was with Saif Khan and Hrithik Roshan. And he had been here before. He did Bang Bang. Bang Bang. And why am I talking about this? Because the backlot is one of the magnets for Bollywood. It's 4 million square feet, which is about 400,000 square meters. So Salman Khan did 3 movies here, right? Tigers in the Hay, Race 3, and Sahu, right? And again, they use that backlot. So they love the infrastructure, they live the crew. And the other thing is, India the UAE is India's 3rd largest bilateral trade partner in the world, after China and the US, which is extraordinary, right, for a small country of 10 million people. And one of the reasons is because of this huge Indian diaspora. I mean, it is by far the biggest expatriate community in the UAE. And so, as you know, Bollywood movies, they're big, they're epic, and there's a lot of extras. And you don't want to have to fly in these extras from, So Vikram Vedha, one of the scenes, it was a scene that lasted a week, they needed 2,500 Indian extras. And 2,500 extras, every single one was found in Abu Dhabi.
So, in your sense, Hans, how many jobs presently in this sector is generated here? And roughly what's the volume? And second part of it is, say 20 years down the line, what do you see and what are the impediments to get it to the number that you think it would be good to have?
Well, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. I mean, the SEPA agreement that they just signed Friday, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, right? Yeah. In terms of that cultural bilateral exchange, because it all starts with exchanges and, co-productions and getting to know each other and cultural events. And speaking cultural events, I guess everybody here knows what IFA is, the IFA Awards, International Indian Film Academy. So it's like the Oscars of India. It's been but much bigger. They're happening this year. They're happening in Abu Dhabi. Another example of that cultural link. So And that's why I say sky's the limit, Sanjoy, because that bilateral link, not just in all industries, but human cultural diaspora exists. And so, in terms of jobs, we're looking at about 20,000 sustained jobs just in the
Presently, you're looking at 20,000. Oh, good to have.
No, as part of the $6 billion CCI plan, I said that's 20,000 sustainable jobs, which for a place like this is huge. Although it wouldn't surprise me if we surpassed those KPI, those projections, because, and I'll tell you why. I mean, last year in Abu Dhabi, we increased our production volumes by 50% last year over the year before, which is extraordinary, right? In the year of COVID. A lot of the reasons is because of what Roshan was saying, but a lot of the other reasons too is the proximity, right? The proximity, it's a big difference, flying 2.5 hours to Abu Dhabi or flying, 15 hours to London from Mumbai, something like that?
8.
It's 8.
So there you go.
Roshan, what people don't realize is that the wedding fraternity is as equally expansive, and again, multiple billions of dollars has been spent, and for some reason, UAE again is becoming the hub of that. Why the UAE? Why is the UAE attracting these kind of weddings, and also what are the impediments that we need to overcome to get to the next level?
Over the last 2 months here, multiple weddings shifted because when the Omicron wave came, people don't want to cancel those functions. You know that most weddings are sacred to certain dates in India, and these are spread across the year, and those dates remain sacrosanct. The way this place, and I'm absolutely amazed at how they look at these opportunities. If you go to work with DTCM, which is now DET, they'll actually lay out the red carpet and take you to venues, show you, help you in so many different ways. That's what an event manager wants. An Indian wedding is a Bollywood extravaganza today, right? What do they want? They want big sets, they want big locations, they want performers, they need good hospitality, and they need people who understand Indian sensibilities. Now, with 1/3 of the population being Indian, that sensibility is matched. Everything else from an infrastructure perspective is available here. I mean, from theme parks to the best locations, every week I think they add one new location, and that's exciting because weddings are also extremely driven by what's the new, and Dubai and the UAE keeps adding the new almost every week, and that becomes exciting at one level. What needs to happen again, and it's really important that creators start exchanges. I'd love to see hubs where people can actually have conversations, not just come and, it's not come, build and leave. But it's come, build, converse, have conversations, figure out what can be done. Because, see, we seem to be talking about obviously the larger aspects, which is Bollywood and events and weddings. But we must understand that the digital creator economy is the economy of the future today. It is that where a boy called Ryan, who has over 30 million subscribers and over 1 billion views on his top most watched video. I mean, you've got 27,000 small shops on Shopify, which have been made by creators who are selling merchandise, products. Of course, there's lots of opportunities in the Bollywood, wedding, and event sector. But I think there's just so much more that's happening in the next level as well. And we've just got to keep that exchange going.
I remember a couple of years ago when we took a delegation of 150 of our colleagues that Turkey hosted. The business just in the wedding space and the social event space went from $1 million to $35 million in the first year and $55 million in the second year. If one was to translate that into the UAE-India Connect, what is that figure that you feel 5 or 10 years down the line is a possibility?
So, just to, I mean, these are just back of the envelope kind of calculations, but if about 100 weddings are coming here, which are the bigger weddings, and each of these spends about $8 million, that's the size that is available. So it's about an $800 million possibility that exists. Now, how much we grow that is entirely up to us. But I mean, I can see that the appetite is increasing, and these kind of exchanges will only help do more of that.
Fantastic. But, they both talked about film, they talked about the wedding industry. All of this needs design input. And yet we're seeing more and more, not necessarily because of COVID, but otherwise, dialogue seems to be the one thing that has been suffering, more so because of the way that the world is getting divided up into my way or the highway or the bipolar world. How do you see that we can be able to pivot that, change that around, and create more platforms for conversations and dialogues?
So back to what you were talking about, how is design impacting or needed or necessary in all of these different aspects? I think there's often a perception that design is talking about aesthetics. This microphone was designed. Of course, the chair we're sitting on, so is PPE that is used during the pandemic, all the apps
process,
that we're using.
Everything, yeah.
And today, I think there's such a big landscape. There's the gaming is on a completely different level now, and everything is designed within gaming. There's the NFTs. I think there's a whole other step that we're only sort of clocking onto, but the industry is already there. So I think, as you were saying, Roshan, there are so many opportunities, and I think it's a question of looking at everything, but just always bearing in mind why. What's the purpose? What's the impact of doing this? And where does that leave the youth? So I really believe in, at the moment, what we're trying to, as you were saying, teach people why is design important. We need to think about our environment, but seriously. And then we need to think about how do we positively promote the creative sector to the youth so that it's something that you want to pursue a career and create jobs. I think that's very important because it can go away.
Very, very quickly, as fast as it came. But what really was of interest to me is that the marina and that whole area with the very blue waters has such an infinite potential as a film set in terms of exploring a whole different world. Is that something that you are also looking at developing?
No. Ironically, so in any type of production shooting, there's two ecosystems: outdoor, indoor, location, and stages. So I said we're building this huge, and it's going to be the biggest soundstage city in the Middle East. It's like a dozen sound stages. Why do I say ironically? Because up until now, because they're not built, everything has been location shooting, right? The set, the backlot is outdoor, of course. So, Dune, was shot in Liwa Desert, outdoor, and not far actually from where they shot Star Wars. And all the Bollywood movies, where Tigers in the Hay, Bang Bang, Dish Room, Race 3. Well, once we have those sand stages, not only are we increasing the shooting time by 50%, because there's 4 months in the summer where it's really too hot to shoot. But we're also attracting all these films that are now using new digital technologies to film, and I'm talking about virtual production. Yeah. For anybody who's seen Mandalorian, Lucas' Star Wars spinoff, that was really the first professional Hollywood series filmed in virtual production, which is basically shooting on a soundstage, but instead of against a green screen, you're shooting against LED walls, which is a real environment. It's to the production industry today, that is what green screen was 25 years ago. And just one thing, though, you were talking about Dubai Marina. It's a beautiful spot, but remember I was talking about the decentralized aspect of the nation, but also the industries. So Abu Dhabi is the only emirate that has a rebate. So we have a 30% rebate, which is also a big reason why Bollywood, Hollywood, anybody comes here. Because when you're producing, especially now post-COVID, production has become so expensive, because if you shut a set because there's a COVID outbreak, it's not a few $1,000s, it's a few $100,000 a day. And that's one of the reasons why the cost of production has gone up so much, why it's so much more difficult to produce, and why any jurisdiction that has a rebate is in the game, and any jurisdiction that doesn't have the rebate is out of the game.
And how, or rather, where are these jobs being created? Are these jobs going to local people? Are they expats coming in? Are they people just being parachuted in for that particular point?
All three. So with any industry, you want to maximize your local resources, right? Because if you're bringing people or equipment or labor or services in, that is not inward investment. And why do these countries and jurisdictions like Abu Dhabi pour so much money in? It's to generate inward investment, which in turn creates sustainable jobs. So it's really a mix of three. It's you putting training programs in place to, at a vocational level, to train these people, even before they're at university, or working with the universities to train them. We're talking about Bollywood right now. We are very interested in partnering with an Indian vocational job training institution to create it in Abu Dhabi. Bollywood is going to be our biggest production partner. And so it only makes sense. And there's a lot of Indians working in the industry now, but we need more, and I'm talking about the crafts. I'm not talking about the above the line, not the producers, the writers, the directors, but what really pays and earns a living is the crafts. What we call below the line, the cinematographer, the first AD, the gaffer, the electrician, the carpenter, the set designer, the makeup artist, the wardrobe. Those are the jobs that create an industry and also the pay.
Roshan, you yourself have been a producer and a director of films. What is the impact of films on local society, culture, and tradition? And therefore, is there a risk when you're flooding, say, this particular market more and more with Bollywood?
Sanjoy, what's really happening is that, again, the narratives globally are changing. Cinema, and frankly, they talk of two screens now. They talk about the screen of spectacle, which is your big screen, and then there's the screen of intimacy, which is the screen that we normally hold in our hands. And we are making our content choices accordingly. Both of these screens require conscious creators, because yes, everybody just pressing the record button does not become a content creator, which is where you need training, you need aesthetics, you require, you need to understand the entire process. What happened in India? The BPO industry led to the creation of the startups. People said, why do I just need to be a grunt worker? Why can I not be the maker? And the same thing happens with creativity everywhere. I'll tell you something which I just came across yesterday. I don't know whether you heard of Arabian Camels. Arabian Camels is an NFT community that has been formed here. They're trying to make a film on Antara ibn Shaddad, right? And this is one pre-Islamic poet come warrior. Beautiful story. And it's just because people now want to tell their own stories. What's driving me here right now is to find stories. Commune is a storytelling community. That's all we do. But I'm discovering such brilliant storytellers here. When I landed here, I said, what are fiction books on UAE? And I bought about 25, and the more I read them, the more I understand that there's a Western narrative of this region, then there is now an emerging narrative from the region, and then there are indigenous authors. And all of this, this is how culture is created. Culture can't be imported, right? It needs to be built from within. And I think we've seen the glittering, glamorous buildings, we now need to see the people within. And the more we will see that, the more culture will thrive.
To end, the story needs to be told. How do we tell the story that the creative sector is of value?
I'd like to say that's what we do at Dubai Design Week, right? Let's show people. And then that's what Expo is doing. Let's show people. You have all the country pavilions and different performers, and isn't that sort of what everyone is here to see, right? From where I see it, you can tell a story many times, but these days we need to see it, and we need to see it quite quickly for our attention to be grabbed, right? And then we need some proof. It needs to be backed up. So, that's literally what we try to do with our events at Out Dubai and at Dubai Design Week.
I hope you will take the creative industries seriously. As I said, it creates jobs, it creates opportunities, and most importantly, it allows young people to realize their full potential in whatever it may be. That is the most important message out there. That creates wealth, and it also creates intangible wealth.
Be inspired. Festival of Ideas. An innovation can change the world. All we need is passion, focus, and a desire to help. If you have an innovation, please send it to us at whatever stage it is in. Our panel of experts will assess it and help propel it towards reality. The sky is your limit. Don't wait. Mail us your idea or innovative thought at beinspired@teamworkarts.com.